Welcome to Meet the Boss Junior. Today I'm speaking with you, Teri Thomas, CEO of Volpara Health. First question. You might know I love cars. What's your favorite car?
Oh, well, I love cars too. And you've probably learned this in talking with other CEOs that we like to have a concrete, succinct answer. And I'm going to disappoint you on the first question because I don't have a single favorite car. I have two. So
Good.
to give you a little tiny backstory, I used to drive a Lotus Elise, which was a lot like driving a go-kart. And then eventually I ended up getting a McLaren MP4. And I felt like the McLaren was my Lotus when it grew up. Like every Lotus wants to turn into a McLaren. 616 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. That car was so fast and so fun. And I would like to say it's my favorite car. But a few speeding tickets later, I now drive a Tesla. And Tesla, I would say, is completely tied with the Lotus, or I'm sorry, with the McLaren for my favorite car, because I've got a solar powered house and I love that I can power my car from the sun. I don't have to go to gas stations. But the other thing is I love the Tesla company. And in particularly, I love the concept of making driving fun, including that my Tesla can dance and play music and has games in the console and has a fart machine. And so any kind of company that makes driving a car that much fun, I have to absolutely love it too. So tied between the Tesla and the McLaren.
I actually saw a Lotus Elise yesterday, and I know what you're talking about. The dancing Tesla, the doors open and close, and the headlights.
Oh, yeah.
Think back to when you were a kid. What did you want to do when you grew up?
You know, there were a lot of things I wanted to be depending on the day of the week or the week of the month. So I think if I could have been an explorer like Livingston or Darwin, if that were a regular job, I think I would have been an explorer when I was a kid. But as I got a little bit older, I realized that there's not like a degree in exploration, maybe anthropology, which I did study. I loved medicine, so I was interested in being a doctor or a veterinarian. But when I pictured what I was going to do when I grew up, the clearest picture I had was a business person who got to travel a bunch. So I guess I could say I have the best job and I live a life that's even better than what I imagined as a kid because I am a business person and I get to travel a lot and I get to do a lot of exploring in my job.
I want to hear all about your work, but first tell me about your story. How did you become a CEO?
All right. Well, let's see. I started off working in healthcare and I took a part-time job helping while I was at university, helping the local hospital put in their first computer systems. And I was going to be a doctor. And so I was doing all of the pre-medicine classes and planning on going into med school, but I was paying for all of my own university tuition and expenses. And I was offered a job to work in health technology. And one of the doctors that I worked with in my part-time job told me that he thought that I could have an impact on more patients through technology than I could as a doctor seeing them one at a time. And so I decided that maybe I would take just like a 2-year stint working for a health technology company. I ended up working there for 20 years. And I worked through all different roles in the company, doing project management, training, sales, some roles related to strategy and things, and ended up learning how to be a leader. And from there, I took a job with another company at a higher level, reporting to the CEO and working with the board on delisting a company and just getting more familiar with working with the executive team. And I learned a ton. I have to credit my old boss, Judy Faulkner, for being a fantastic mentor for me. I wouldn't be in this position if I didn't have somebody willing to teach me a lot. So on that foundation, I transitioned to CEO of Volpara about 4 or 5 months ago. And here's where I am.
Tell me about your company. What is your product and who are your customers?
All right. So my company is called Volpara. It comes from 2 words, volumetric parameters. And the purpose of my company is to save families from cancer. And we do that by calculating a person's risk of getting cancer, managing a process, particularly for mammograms, but we do get involved with other kinds of cancer like lung cancer, endometrial cancer. But we want to make sure that the process of detecting cancer is done as well as possible with the best possible quality. We apply artificial intelligence to measure and report details about mammogram image, which is a type of X-ray image, and then helping make sure that women go on to get other tests like genetic tests, if that makes sense, and make the very best decisions based on all of the information that's out there. So we've got several different kinds of products that our customers use. And let's see, you asked who our customers are. Generally imaging centers that do a lot of X-rays, as well as hospital systems and healthcare systems that do mammograms and other types of healthcare.
What do you love most about your job?
Oh, I'm here in the US visiting a lot of staff that I work with, and that's the part I love about my job. I'm really, really lucky that I can work with people who care about saving people from cancer. They're fun and they're smart. I've got some nice scientists. I've got people that have experience with family members having cancer who care a lot about what they do. So I very much enjoy the people that I work with. And I like that what we do makes a difference in other people's lives. So I know that when I die, I've made a difference for other people's families, and the people I work with feel the same way. So I love that. I'm not going to lie, I also like exploring a little bit. So I get to get out and about, see new places, meet new people. So that's a great part of my job too.
So what's the hardest thing about your job?
Whew, that's a tough question. I think I wish I could be 3 or 4 people and give each of my employees and each of my customers the amount of time I feel like they deserve. I wish I could get to know all of my staff and their families really well. And I hate that I just don't have enough time to be able to give that personal attention to everyone. So I do my best. I call people on their anniversaries and I wish them happy anniversary. And I spend the time I can with people when I can. And I like that, but I wish that I could do more.
What's one piece of advice for me as I think about starting my own company?
Yeah, good one. I was told years ago, the best advice that my old boss was told was to get a good lawyer and a good accountant. And I've heard that over and over. So you'll probably hear that from other CEOs. But I think the best advice coming authentically from me is do something you care about. And for me, it was finding a life of purpose where I know that what I'm doing matters and makes an impact on other people. But if you're starting a company, in order to start a company, you have to do something that you like. You have to do something that matters to you. So for me, finding a purpose in what you do will make the work more enjoyable and more enriching.
Looks like that's all we have time for today. Thanks so much for coming on this show and sharing your story. Best luck with your future.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.